Let's move on. We're going back to Galway. John Duggan is with us again. John, good morning to you. How you doing?
Jared, Tommy, Owen, how are we all doing?
All good, yeah. You've been looking through the card for us today. We reflected a little bit earlier on yesterday's stuff, so maybe we'll focus a bit more on today. Should we go through the card or should we start with the big race of the day?
We'll start with the big race, then we'll go through the rest of the races. Probably the best thing to do. So the Galway Hurdle, 4:55, 20 runners, 2 miles. Money for Band of Outlaws, generally strong, 4-1 in the betting. One at the Cheltenham Festival for Joseph O'Brien in the colours of JB McManus, who the winner yesterday. So Band of Outlaws, a solid proposition as a favourite of 4-1, but a 4-year-old has not won the race since 2000. So the stats are against Band of Outlaws. Money in the race for Shannon for Willie Mullins into 7-1. Another JB McManus owned horse, Garda Babylon, is 8-1. Stratham for Willie Mullins, 11-1, a bit of money for that. A bit of money for Tudor City for Tony Martin, 14-1.
Okay, in his column in the Examiner today, Ruby's put up Stratham. So this race is deep enough that despite the fact that Band of Outlaws is on the front of the Racing Post this morning, that it's not a done deal. It's not a gimme for anybody.
Absolutely not a done deal. Like Maurice yesterday drifted in the market out to 9-1, won the race, was pretty much the favourite all week for the Galway Plate. So definitely not a done deal. The one I like is Stratham. He was a course and distance winner, a very good horse in the flat. Ruby actually at a Punchestown preview gave a Stratham for Punchestown. He finished 4th to Mr. Adjudicator, who ran well here the other day in that 2-mile amateur race. I think Stratham has a lot of kind of tactical speed in the race. He's got a £7 claimer on board. And I think he can definitely make the frame Stratham at about 11-1. So he's at my each way selection in the race. But the other horse I do respect, and I never have an issue with backing 2 horses in a race, especially in a race of 20 runners, because gambling is not about winners, it's not about losers. The people get lulled into this false sense of security that they had a winner and their life is great. No, how much profit did you make? Profit is victory, not winning. Profit is victory. And the other horse I do like is Tudor City. Has been running extremely well on handicap, second at Ferryhouse in Killarney. Bit of money for him yesterday. Robbie Powers riding for Tony Martin. So I think this is a pretty serious intent that Tudor City, they think it might go well at 14-1. I think they're the 2 against the field. I think there was a guy called, he used to write for the Irish Times, always had 2 against the field. Stratham and Tudor City are my 2 against the field.
Okay, that's 4:55, the big race of the day. It's the Galway Hurdle, and John's putting up Tudor City and Stratham. Let's start at the start then. It starts a bit earlier today, 2 o'clock, the beginner's chase.
Yeah, early doors, 1 at Cheltenham for Joseph O'Brien and the colours of JB McManus, but has never run in a chase in public. So and it's an odds-on shot at 6-5 on. So if you're lumping into him and you've never seen him jump a fence in public, you're a brave person. I won't be doing that. There is money for From Eden, Gordon Elliott, Debbie Russell, 10-1 money for that this morning. But it's a race I'm not having a bet in. It's a race I'll be just watching.
Okay.
Beginner's chase is stodgy.
What's next?
The 2:35, a good chase. Wicklow Brave, one of the best horses from a achievement point of view in Irish racing the last few years, has won a St. Leger on the flat, a Group 1, has won a Punchestown Hurdle, has won at the Cheltenham Festival, is the 2-1 shot. Paul Townend has decided to ride him above Robin DiCarlo. So Wicklow Brave does have a favourite's chance, but he is a quirky customer and is it his day? Like, he can sometimes not be in form at all or not go forward. So you have to catch Wicklow Brave right. There is money for 0-10, who won on Monday here. 9-4, 0-10. But I didn't think he jumped that well the other day, so I wouldn't be backing him. And there's also money for Janmat in the colours of Michael O'Leary at 16-1 for Janmat. Robin DiCarlo, I think, is a good horse, but you probably have to ride him out front because he's more of a stayer, I think, than this trip. But once again, it's a race I think is too tricky to work out.
Okay.
But the money for 0-10, I'm not too convinced about 0-10.
Okay, all right. Then the Rockshore Handicap at 3:10.
There's 2 I like in this one, and there's money for the first one. Coy Big, Come On You Boys in Green with a K. David Marnane, won at Killarney. He's a 6-time winner in handicaps. He was down the weights and he won in Killarney as a prep for this. And I think he might be ahead of the handicapper. He's got a good low draw. There's been money from him to 7-1. I think he's definitely a good each way chance. The other one I liked that nobody's putting up is a horse called Stormy Bell at 25-1. Had decent form last season, beat Band of Outlaws last season. Hasn't run for a while, but has a Gavin Ryan, that claimer who rode Ozzie Valentine for us on the off the ball night at Leopardstown. And she is 25-1. And I think that could be definitely a Euro each way bet. There's also money for Tony the Gent at 16-1. But Koi Big and Stormy Bell.
Okay, the next one is Philly Stakes at 345.
Cava is the one that jumped off the page for me when I was doing my card yesterday and has been money for this morning. Finishing fast over a shorter trip the last time. Dunica and Joseph teaming up 15-2, but also being backed into a lot shorter. Cava is the one for me in this one. There's money for me, myself, and Moi at 28-1, but Cava is, I think, a horse that could be overpriced.
Okay, and then the Novice Hurdle is the next race, a small field here.
Dr. Duffy, I think, is a solid proposition. Charles Burns has had horses that have run well this week. He stood out on the page for me yesterday. Davy Russell rides. You know how good he is in these types of races. 13-8, consistent and in form, and I think he'll win. But Popong, there is money for Popong at 15-2.
Okay, we've obviously done the Galway Hurdle at this stage. The last two races of the day is a big handicap with, at this stage, I think a field of about 18 going to post at 5:30.
Yeah, if you're still going with this one, you got some stamina. 5:30, one Culpo with the 4-1 favourites. One of the ones I liked yesterday was Nazi at 16-1. Has been running in England, but now is making his debut for the Kilkenny trainer Shark Hanlon. And he's been back this morning. Nazi at 16-1. I think might be worth €1 each way. Nazi. Champagne Terry is also a horse I'll give a chance to. But what I'm trying to do here, guys, I'm trying to link the horses I picked to the money that's coming in the market this morning and seeing if the both things are confirmed.
Fair enough. It's always a good strategy. And then the last race goes to post at 5:59. It's the Guinness Time Flat Race.
1759. That's when Guinness was founded. So that's why that's happening now. Like all those years, once again, like early doors in the first race, we haven't seen it on the track. Well, we have seen early doors, but he's never run in a beginner's chase. All these years, he's never run in the bumper, 6-4. So you're taking it on trust that his well-being will be good and that he'll take to the Galway test, which is a stiff uphill finish. A lot of money for Valley Breeze, 5-1. Luke McMahon, Aubrey McMahon, we've had him on Friday Night Racing. Rode Uradell to win here last year, and a lot of money for that for William Mullins, 5-1 Valley Breeze. So that's all the market movers. So just to kind of summarise, in the hurdle, Stratham is my main pick, but I probably have a favour on Tudor City. I like Dr. Duffy in that hurdle. I like Koi Big, but I also like that Stormy Bell in that 310. Cav, I think, has got a really good each way chance at 345, and then Nazi with the money coming for this morning at 5:30. But I'll put all these together. Delia Smith wise, take them out of the oven. They'll be on offtheball.com, and you'll see the staking plan and everything, and maybe what I'm seeing as well. But that'll be the definitive final sign off on my documents today.
John, good stuff. Thanks for that. Enjoy today and happy punting. It's time for us to go back to Ruby versus Punter, and Joe Walsh is our punter. He's a regular in the Paddy Power and Prospect Hill in Galway, where we were broadcasting for the first 2 days of the Galway Festival. We're back in studio, and it turns out that we were the millstone around your neck, Joe, because you had a big winner yesterday for us.
Yeah, time to make a comeback.
There you go.
Middle of the week. Yeah, it was good. Thought the one in the Galway Plate ran well. I think it's going again on Friday. Would have a big chance. I was happy with the winner, yeah.
You backed Barcassa and you'd scouted him at Punchestown a few months ago at a big handicap.
I seen him in Punchestown a big handicap, and I thought he came back and won on the flat after that. And I had him laid out for Galway, so got back in front yesterday.
All right, good stuff. You've up to €493.75 and Ruby's at 1,825. So not entirely insurmountable. You've got €100 every day to go up against Ruby. And how are you going to spend your €100 today?
Yeah, I seen a horse in winning in Killarney. Thought he'd done it very easy. Koi Big, he's around the 10-1 shot. I'll have 25 each way on that.
Okay, good stuff. 25 each way on Koi Big at 10s.
Yeah.
And one more?
Yeah, and then in the Galway Hurl, I'm going to go for JP's Outsider, a horse I've seen running. Thought he had a nice run as well. Hearts or Trumps. I think he's around the 20-1.
Hearts or Trumps around about 20-1 in the Galway Hurdle.
Yeah, and I'll have my 25 each way on that.
Okay, so that's your second one. We do have Ruby Walsh with us this morning. And again, Ruby, you did a really good tip yesterday, but unfortunately came a cropper at one of the fences when just getting into position in the big race yesterday.
Yeah, it looked to be in a lovely position and was jumping really well, but seemed to over-jump the second fence past the stands in the second circuit and didn't get out his landing gear and fell over, but that was no good to me. My €50 each way was gone at that stage.
No, totally. But what was it that you kind of, when you're looking at races like that, is there something specific that you think a horse is going to run well in a race like that makes you think they have a chance? Because that was a big enough price as well yesterday.
I just thought he was overpriced. I mean, he had a hurdle rating of about 146. He was running off a much lower rating over fences, and I just thought it was a very open race. I thought he had a bit of class if things came together for him, but things didn't come together for him, so it wasn't such a good tip.
Ruby, I don't know, maybe you have a view on this, but the horse that ultimately wins the big race yesterday, Boris, drifts in the market at the kind of final few hours before the race actually happens, having been fairly well backed all week. Why does something like that happen? Why does confidence drain from a horse who ultimately then goes on and has a good performance? What's that about, do you think?
It's not confidence, it's more to do with maths, I think. There was other horses fancied in the race, so they shortened up. And if one horse is shortening, that probably makes other horses drift. Bookmaking is all about balancing a book. It's maths, it's accounting. So if there's money for 10 and 12 to 1 shots, then the horse that was 6 to 1 will drift back out to 7 and 8s to try and encourage people to back 8 again so they can balance the book. It's a bookmaking thing. I don't understand it completely. Joe probably would understand it better than me. But that's why horses drift a little bit like him. To drift from 6 to 1 to 8 to 1 is only trying to encourage more people to back it again to balance up a book, I think.
That makes sense, Joe, yeah?
Yes, makes a lot of sense. If you take money in, you have to get money in to back the money. So I agree that it's money that makes the odds, not the horse.
Because we've been talking all week with John Duggan, Ruby, and he's been making the point that like he forms a view on the basis of form and opinion and watching the races, and then as money comes for some of his selections, that gives him extra confidence. Because obviously with races like this, some people feel like they have a little bit of insight. You know, horses have been lined up for specific races for a long time in Galway. So it's worth sometimes following the money, but maybe not panicking when you see a price drifting.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go on, Joe, you walk away.
Sorry, Ruby, what were you going to say?
No, it can be good to see money for a horse that doesn't have outstanding form, but a huge drift would be a worry, but only drifting a point or two would be no worry to me. If you drifted from 5 to 4 out to 5 to 1, that would be a worry, but to drift a couple of points is no worry.
Yeah, okay. What are your selections today, Ruby?
I'm going to have €25 each way on Little Nugget in the novice hurdle, which is about the 5th race, I think.
Yeah, 420.
420. And I'm going to have €25 each way on Stratum in the Galway hurdle.
Okay. What kind of a price would you expect for Little Nugget?
I don't know. I didn't look at the prices this morning, so I'm sure Paddy will give us best price anyway, won't he?
Yeah, he will, of course. I'll have a look at that. Little Nugget, obviously running. You're hearing good stuff, running well.
I just think she's actually looking last night. She was the outside of the 3 fancy ones in the novice hurdle, but there's not much between them, and purely for value, Ger, is the reason I'd be having €25 each way on her.
Okay, you've put Stratum up today in the Examiner as well. You obviously you're sweet on Stratum.
I just think of Willie's 4 or 5 in the race. Seo hasn't run in so long. I'm not certain Riven Light will stay. I think Shanning, like she was placed last year in Galway off a mark of 126. She's now running in a better race off a mark of 136. So I just think Stratum. I think Stratum is a class individual, and with Conor McNamara claiming 7 off him, even bringing him back down to 10-13. I think it's a great race and weight.
All right, looking forward to it. Best of luck today to you, lads. Thanks a million. Obviously, all of the funds that we're raising are going to the Irish Injured Jockeys Fund. And thanks to Ruby and to Joe Walsh, Ruby versus Punter. If you want to get involved in your own action, you can call into your local Paddy Power shop and you can put up your selections and go up against Ruby's selections. Just up behind the counter, there will be a leaderboard in all of the participating Paddy Power shops around the country.